So the Necron Codex is coming, and we now have some new Necron rules, and it's coming right up.
Necrons!
Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. Right, I was busy painting my Necrons. I forgot the time, had a quick look on my phone and saw that Games Workshop had posted about the new Necron Codex, new rules and units. So let's delve in and take a look. The Necrons have awoken and are getting ready to reclaim the galaxy. That's not going to be easy. They're going to need some new units and rules. So today we're taking you through some of the options in the new Necron Codex that will take you from mere Necron Overlord to Galactic Ruler. Yeah, okay, we'll see about that. Right, we've got a new picture, and looking closely there are no new units in that picture. The new Codex features dynastic codes for 6 Necron empires, including the Zerakan dynasty for the first time, along with options to create your own, which would explain why it wasn't in Psychic Awakening, because it's going to be here in the new Codex. We'll be taking a closer look at those rules tomorrow. Interesting, looks like I'll be making a video tomorrow as well. Today we're focusing on the range of rules and army-wide abilities that benefit your force regardless of which dynasty they belong to. For example, Reanimation Protocols have always been a huge part in the way that Necron armies play, and they have undergone a slight change in the new Codex. That's interesting, they say a slight change. They told us in one of the Twitch streams it was going to be a major change, that it's going to be a big change for the Codex, so that's interesting. Your Necrons can still come back from wounds that would take any other warrior out of action, but now you roll when the models are destroyed rather than at the beginning of your turn, which I think, to be fair, I've always thought, whilst it's fun how RP is done, I think the best way to do it probably is as an aftersave, and it seems that's what we've got. So let's take a closer look at RP. Okay, so here we go. Each time an enemy unit shoots or fights, after it makes its attacks, if any models in this unit were destroyed as a result of those attacks, but this unit was not destroyed, this unit's reanimation protocols are enacted, and those destroyed models begin to reassemble. Okay, so that's good. It is exactly what we thought it was going to be. So it is going to be like in the White Dwarf reveal. So a unit's going to attack you, and then after they've attacked, you can then roll your RP before another unit attacks you, which will hopefully reduce the chances of you having the unit wiped out and then having no chance of RP. I think that's the whole idea behind it. Anyway, let's just read on. Each time a unit's reanimation protocols are enacted, make RP rolls for the unit by rolling a number of d6 equal to the combined wound characteristics of all the reassembling models. Okay, so that's interesting. So rather than wounds taken, you roll for combined wound characteristics. So does that mean you have, say you have destroyers which have 3 wounds, that's very interesting. Okay, I had to stop the camera and actually read this for myself, because god damn, that seems complicated. I've just gone onto the Necron Facebook page, and there's a post in there that says, guys, do you mind helping me? My English isn't that great, I don't really understand it. I'm looking at the comments and it's like, yeah, I'm an English speaker, born and raised in America, and I haven't got a clue what this means. I only speak English and I can't understand this crap. Yeah, it seems very complicated, and I'm going to need some more time to actually digest this, to be honest with you. It seems that single wounded models have probably got better, but multi-wounded models have got worse with this RP change. Let's read it and see if we can make head or tail out of this. Each time a unit reanimation protocols are enacted, make reanimation protocol rolls for that unit by rolling a number of d6 equal to the combined wounds characteristic of all the reassembling models. So am I correct in saying that's not how many wounds it takes, but the wound characteristics? So if you have 3 destroyers, let's say, and they've got 9 wounds, you roll 9 dice, because that's their wounds characteristic, not how many wounds you take. Is that right? Each reanimation protocol roll of a 5 is put into a pool. So you roll those 9 dice, any 5s go into a pool. Reanimation protocol roll can never be modified by more than +1 or -1, which, that's fair play. So basically it's a 4+ RP is the best that you can get, which pretty much always has been, apart from a couple of exceptions. Okay, so reading on, if the number of dice in that pool is greater than or equal to the wounds characteristic of any of the reassembling models, select one of those models to be reanimated. A reanimated model is added back to its unit with its full wounds remaining. So, if the number of dice in that pool, let's just say we rolled those 9 dice and we got 4 5s, is equal to the wounds characteristic of any of the reassembling models. Okay, so let's say one destroyer died and I had 4 5s, then I can get that destroyer back up, and presumably the excess 5 will be lost, maybe? Okay, when you set them up, you can only set up within engagement range of an enemy unit that are already within engagement range of the reanimated models. Cannot, if it is your charge phase, be set up closer to enemy units that are targets of a charge declared by its unit this phase. No longer counts as having been destroyed for the purposes of morale tests this turn. Okay, so when you're doing the morale test, if it's back, then it doesn't count as being destroyed. Right. You then reduce the number of dice in that pool by a number equal to the wounds characteristic of the reanimated model. Okay, and repeat this process until either there are no more reassembling models, or the number of dice remaining in the pool is less than the wounds characteristic of any of the reassembling models. Right, okay, so if I had 2 wounds that I managed to get back, but the model that died was 3 wounds, that model can't come back up. Any models that did not reanimate fail to reassemble, and any dice remaining in that pool are discarded. Okay, that's a head sedge, but I think I've got it. Okay guys, what do you think of this rule? I know that in the Necron Facebook page there's an uproar about this rule. I think it's got to be play tested, and I'm sure it's been play tested. I think the fact that we can try to reanimate before another unit shoots at it, that's good, because it will help reduce the fact that a unit can easily be wiped out from multiple units shooting at it until it's dead. So we've got a chance of it coming back. Obviously it's a slight nerf to multiple wounded units, but to single wounded units I think it's probably a lot better, and I foresee large warrior blobs benefiting from this quite a bit. Is it a game changer? I'm not sure yet. I'm going to have to play test it, but I'm slightly disappointed how complicated that rule looks on paper, but I'm sure once we get used to it, it's going to be quite easy. Okay, so that's the rule. Let's see what they say about it. This change means that if your opponent wants to prevent you from making any reanimation protocol rolls, they'll have to wipe out your unit in a single attack, which for most Necron units is easier said than done. And that is totally true, and I think just from that point of view this rule's got to be a lot better. Something brand new for Necron Overlords to unleash upon the galaxy are command protocols. Before a game starts, you secretly assign one of the 6 protocols to each of your first 5 battle rounds. Then, when you reach the relevant battle round, you choose from one of the 2 directives associated with the protocol to be active for that round, and any unit within 6 inches of a Necron character can benefit from it. And then we've got a nice picture of the new units with that piece of terrain in the background. Is that a real piece of terrain that we're getting, or is that just for this custom board to take photographs on? For example, you could select Protocol of the Sudden Storm to be active in Battle Round 4, which you could then use to make a last-minute dash to claim an objective or perform an action, and still use your ranged weapons. Protocol of the Sudden Storm. Directive 1. Add 1 inch to the move characteristic of models in this unit. Directive 2. If this unit is performing an action, it can still make attacks with ranged weapons without that action failing. Now I know they said you could potentially use that in turn 4. I'm thinking that's quite a good early turn directive to start moving on objectives with that +1 inch, or potentially to raise the banner and still be able to shoot. However, we will need to see all of the protocol directives before we can actually decide which one to put where. In my experience so far in 9th edition, the games don't really last that much past turn 3, and when they do, it's literally just mopping up at the end. Most of the damage and the points are gained in the first 3 turns. The command protocols offer some exciting tactical options to your Necron army, and they're flexible enough to ensure that there will always be a directive that you can take advantage of, which I think is great, having the 2 directives. Now, will all the other armies get this? I think they probably will have this. Will they have the option for 2 like us? Well, I'm sure they probably will going forward. However, it is a nice thing to see and adds a little bit more flavour to the army when you're playing it. Robotic reinforcements. It's not just been the overlords coming up with new schemes to reclaim their rightful domain. The cryptics have also clearly been busy, as there are tomb loads of new units for your Necron army. And then we see the Clint Eastwood model. Pretty cool, can't wait to get hold of him. They say that quantity has a quality of its own, and that's especially true when you come armed with 6 guns. Hexmark destroyers were once death marks, but now go into battle carrying multiple enigmatic disintegrator pistols. And here they are, 18 inches. A pistol, 1 strength 6, -1 AP and 1 damage. As if 6 shots isn't enough, they get to fire more when they take out an enemy model, which is what they were talking about in the preview. So, Multithreat Eliminator. Each time an enemy model is destroyed by a ranged attack made by this model's enigmatic disintegrator pistols, after this model makes the rest of its attacks, it can shoot with 1 of its enigmatic disintegrator pistols 1 additional time. These attacks cannot generate additional attacks. So basically it's like, how many are you going to kill? Well, 18 inches is pretty nice range, and strength 6 -1, 1 damage. It's not going to kill a huge amount. I don't think you're going to be generating that many more shots. However, this guy is going to be all dependent upon where it's slotted in terms of whether it's an elite slot or something else, and of course it's going to be down to how many points he costs, because I think it could make a great distraction unit, and I think it could be useful, but I think it depends on how many points. Okay, so then we've got the Monolith picture, which we've already seen, and of course we are now going to see some Monolith rules. While not technically a new unit, the Monolith is getting a new model and has had enough of an improvement that Overlords will almost see it as new. Not only does it have an additional 4 wounds, okay, but its weapons have also undergone an upgrade, And there is even a new option, the Death Ray, which you can take in place of the Gauss Flux Arcs, which of course we already knew that from the pictures. Now it's quite interesting what it said. So we've got 24 wounds as opposed to 20, but obviously the key thing with the Monolith is survivability. 4 more wounds, well, it's not going to make too much of a difference unless we do have some other protection, a better living metal than it currently has. I don't necessarily think it needs quantum shielding, but I think it does need some extra protection. However, let's have a look at the weapons. So the Death Rays are 24 inches and a heavy 1. Strength 9, just for the little side guns, that's not bad. -3 AP and D3 plus 3 damage. Sounds pretty good. The Gauss Flux Arcs though are 30 inches and they are rapid fire 3, strength 5, -2 with 1 damage. So I think we are definitely going to be taking Death Rays, and I'm not surprised there because GW do not want you using your old Monoliths with the Gauss Flux Arcs on them. They want you using the new Monolith with the new Death Ray gun. Particle Whip, 36 inches, great, 24 inches for that Particle Whip previously was just not long enough. 36 inches, awesome. Heavy D6, so random amount of shots, not liking that, but it seems quite normal for Necrons. Strength 12, however, -3 AP and a fixed 3 damage. It's also a blast weapon, so it's not too bad. Yeah, random, okay, arguably it could be fun, but when you roll those 1s and 2s, and let's face it, we do. I mean, if anyone's played Doomsday Arcs, you know what I'm talking about. And then lastly, the Portal of Exile, which is your melee attack by the looks of it. So user is strength, and we don't know what the strength is, but presumably it's going to be strength 6. -3 AP with a flat 3 damage. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, that attack automatically hits the target. Okay, well that's quite useful, but obviously we don't know how many attacks we get, and it's a vehicle. Usually vehicles aren't that great in close combat, although the Portal of Exile has had some fun, cool, quite nasty rules in the right circumstances previously. However, yeah, -3 AP with flat 3 damage is pretty nice. Enemy units won't want to go anywhere near these fearsome floating pyramids. Okay, so overall the weapons seem not too bad. Particle Whip being a D6, I'm not liking that, but it's at least a better range, and overall the weapons on the vehicle are going to be better. We've got more wounds, but we don't know how many points, and of course we don't know what save it's going to have, or how the living metal is going to work, or any of those other things to help it survive. And then we've got another cool picture, a new picture with the Void Dragon. So I assume we're going to see something about him. It's not every day that an actual guard, or at least the shard of one, well, you made them shards, they used to be guards, take to the battlefield of the 41st millennium with the addition of the Catan Shard of the Void Dragon to the Necron forces. There's a massive shift in the galaxy's power dynamics, as you'd expect from the fragment of a star guard. The Catan Shard of the Void Dragon has impressive characteristics. Well, let's have a look at them then. Movement 8 inches, same as the others. Weapon skill 2+, ballistic skill 2+, strength 6, toughness 7, 9 wounds, 5 attacks, leadership 10, and a 3+ save, not just a fixed 4+ invulnerable. When you combine that profile with the power granted by the Spear of the Void Dragon, this Catan Shard will be easily cutting its way through enemy units in the name of its Necron enslavers. Okay, so let's have a look at this weapon. Spear of the Void Dragon, shooting 12 inches, heavy 1, strength 9, -4 AP, and D6 damage. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, if a hit is scored, draw a straight line between the closest point of this model's base or hull and that of the closest model in the target unit. Make one wound roll against the target unit and each other unit this line passes over. Each time an attack made with this weapon is allocated to a vehicle model, that attack has a damage characteristic of D3 plus 3. Okay, there's only 12 inches though, so it's very short range. However, what's it like in melee? So in melee it's going to be its normal strength plus 3, so you're looking at strength 9, minus 4 AP and D6 damage. Each time an attack made with this weapon is allocated to a vehicle model, that attack has a damage characteristic of D3 plus 3. Okay, well at least we've got a Catan which is not bad against vehicles. Yeah, I don't know how impressed I am with that though, but let's just read on. The Catan Shard of the Void Dragon also has 2 abilities that make it extremely difficult to kill. Good. Its Necrodemus lets you shrug off guard killing levels of punishment. This model has a 4+ invulnerable save. In addition, this model cannot lose... Yes! Okay, I think we're in Thraka territory. In addition, this model cannot lose more than 3 wounds in the same phase. Any wounds that would be lost after that point are not lost. Okay, great. Yes, I like it. Meanwhile, its matter absorption rule means that this fearsome entity can devour the very essence of destroyed enemy vehicles to keep itself fighting. It's interesting. At the end of each phase, roll 1d6 for each enemy vehicle model destroyed as a result of an attack made by this model or a Catan power used by this model that phase. For each 2+, this model regains 1 lost wound, for a maximum of 3 regained wounds per phase. Okay, so it potentially can regain some extra wounds back. With devastating attacking power and incredibly defensive abilities, the Catan Shard of the Void Dragon is a perfect fit for almost every Necron army. Not sure about that. I like the new rule for the Necrodemus. He's okay. I mean, I think we need to see the powers of the Catan rules, but I'm also thinking, why even do the Void Dragon model? Why not just give us a new, bigger Nightbringer and Deceiver? I mean, the model does look awesome, and I really like it, and I can't wait to get it, paint it, and play it. And we've got some cool rules for it, but they could have easily given those rules to the models that we already have and just remade them. But one would assume we will be getting some bigger Catan models for the Deceiver and Nightbringer. But what do you think? Let me know about that, and also anything else that you think about these new rules we've seen today. This is just a taste of what's on offer in the incredible new Necron Codex, which is available to pre-order from Saturday. Make sure you join us over blah 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 blah. And talking of that, tomorrow at 1 PM I'm doing a live show talking about the Necron previews and some other stuff, so make sure you join me for that. In the meantime, here is my 9th edition Necron playlist for you to check out next. Beam me up!